The founders, three of them, Moses McNeill, his brother Peter, and Peter Campbell were actually from the Gers area, from Gers Head and Roseneath, and their fellow founder, William McBeath, was from the town of Callander. Now, the four boys came into Glasgow, as many thousands did at the time due to the Industrial Revolution, looking for employment, coming from the countryside of Scotland. They came into Glasgow and they were to meet in a close, they were all living in Cleveland Street in the west end of Glasgow. But they all had a keen interest in sporting pursuits. In Glasgow Green, where we are today, was the city's wide open space that was used for all sporting pursuits back then, and also as an escape from industrial smog that would engulf the city. We know the founders were very keen on the sport of rowing back in Gers Head, and referring to Willie Dunlop's wonderful article that was written for the SFA handbook, Willie hints heavily in that they actually had their own rowing club, and that it was this they turned to in an effort to keep fit if they were injured. So they very much kept alive the love of rowing when they came into Glasgow. Peter McNeill would travel on a Saturday morning across town from the family home in Berkeley Street to here at Fleshers Hall. Fleshers Hall was arisen on the outskirts of Glasgow Green, and he put poles in the ground that would act as goalposts and then literally stand guard until the hour came. And this is quoting William word for word, until the hour came in the afternoon when he'd be joined by his friends and his teammates. So Peter took it upon himself, and that must have been quite a daunting task back then for a teenager, to stand in this spot just to ensure that Rangers was somewhere decent to play those first few matches. Well, the first game was against Callander. Incredibly, that first match was to end 0-0. Also here at Fleshers Hall later that season, Rangers were to play Clyde, which was a game that should have won 11-0, and that game saw Rangers wear the blue jersey for the first time. Then Rangers moved to the West End, where the boys had settled, to Burnbank, and we took up a lease there till 1875, and then we moved south of the river for the first time to Kinning Park. It was then we made the move along to Ibrox for the first time. So Rangers led very much a nomadic existence in the first few years, but it was all to start here at Fleshers Hall. And he disappeared, and he retired back to the Roseneath area from where he'd been born and bred, and that was where he to spend his final days. Now, Moses' brother Peter is one of the most fascinating characters amongst our founders, in that Peter went into business with his brother Harry, and it was what we know as H&P McNeill's. It was a sports outfitters. They were based in Union Street, Redfield Street in Glasgow. Sadly, by 1896, their business was failing so badly that it disappeared from the PO directory, and this was to take a tragic toll on Peter's state of mind, so much so that it saw him admitted to Hawkhead Asylum, which today is Leverdale Hospital. And sadly, Peter passed away there in 1901. But again, he lived long enough to see the club from Fleshers Hall into Ibrox Stadium. Many years later, during the research for the Gallant Pioneers book, done by Gary Ralston initially, and then we helped Gary in later years, Gary managed to locate two of Peter McNeill's granddaughters, and one of them, Heather, unveiled the plaque that we have today across in the Glasgow Green Football Centre in commemoration, of course, not only her grandfather, but of the formation of Rangers Football Club. The other founder was Peter Campbell. Peter Campbell, again, was from Gairlochhead. His family were involved in the shipping industry. Peter was a player that was described as very much being ahead of his time. He actually went to Blackburn Rovers for a spell. He spent a season there. But he returned to Glasgow, but then followed in the family's tradition by going to sea. But tragically, in the early weeks of 1883, his ship, the St Columba, floundered in the Bay of Biscay off the coast of France, and Peter died, aged only 25. Sadly, he didn't see what had been born here in Fleshers Hall growing into that worldwide institution. But we placed a plaque through our Restoration of Rangers Graves project. We placed a plaque commemorating Peter Campbell's contribution at Penarth Pier in South Wales a few years ago, to highlight again the contribution.
Hello and welcome to the Gers TV. My name's Si Leslie.
I'm Vivian.
I'm Gordon.
And in the corner we've got Lewis.
Celebrating tonight.
Aye, so before we start, Lewis done this was his last year at school, is that right? And you got your exam results. You want to tell us how you got on?
1 second, primary or secondary?
Yeah, so I got the grades that I needed to get into university.
Woo! So you're all happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Good stuff.
Fantastic.
That'll be why he's getting the bottle of Buckfast with him.
Aye.
Aye.
No, that's wrong, baby sham.
So well done, Lewis.
Well done.
How'd you go on in the summer? Good summer?
Yeah, glad to be back.
It's been a long summer actually, a couple of
has.
wee breaks, holidays, etc. Obviously back down to earth with a crash on Saturday, which we'll get to shortly, but good pre-season. Not quite as fit as I'd like to be after the pre-season, but we've not been in pre-season training anyway. But it's good to be back live, and it's good to have you out there watching yourselves today.
Aye, busy summer. Just a couple of shout outs to people and groups that I worked with and get involved with, whatever, in the last couple of months. First of all, the Denny Rangers 50th anniversary, Denny Rangers foot band, and we were on parade with them again this year. Well done. Hopefully another 50 years to come. The Sons of the Rock, they're called, I forgot their name now. From Dumbarton. Pride of the Rock, is it? Sons of the Rock, I think it's Sons of the Rock. Dumbarton flute band. They were
Hope they haven't paid for a sponsorship.
no, I forgot there because of the dogs making all sorts of noises. They were at NASA with me, so a big shout out to them as well. And as well as that, the Pride of the Mile.
Pride of the Rock sounds.
It's Pride of the Rock, it is.
Pride of the Rock,
And
yeah,
Pride of the
definitely.
Mile as well. Pride of the Mile played at our gig. So Pride of the Rock played in Toronto. Big shout out to the Toronto Rangers Supporters Club and Midtown guys as well for having us over there. All the people that I met. And a big shout out to the Bangkok Rangers Supporters Club in Ossa as well. So millions of people I met in the summer, so you start forgetting them. It's the Pride of the Rock. 100%.
It's good to have Phileas Fogg with us tonight, actually.
Aye. So back in the East End of Glasgow, looking forward to a big season ahead, and the first game of the season was a wee bit of a disappointment to say the least.
I'll get to that in a wee second. I just want to thank everyone for coming to our night a couple of weeks ago in Glasgow in audio. It was the first night we'd put on a kind of boss night, which is live acts and music and everyone coming along. So it was our first time doing it, so it wasn't absolutely perfect, but it was a very, very good night. Thanks for everyone that came, thanks for everyone that bought tickets, gave us feedback, and look out for more nights in the future. It was our first time doing it. We will improve the nights and get maybe another act or two, whatever, but it was an absolutely fantastic night, so thank you all for coming, whoever who came. If you didn't come, please come to the next one.
Aye, and a good venue as well.
Fantastic, yeah.
First
Brilliant.
time I'd been in there.
Absolutely fantastic night, and we've took a bit from it as well as a Gers TV as well, so
Yep.
thank you all.
By the way, if anybody's wondering about the noises, we've got Lily under here as well. She's tuning away and everything. She's putting us off. She's growling and she's snoring. What kind of noises do you call it? I don't know, but she's making all sorts of noise. In case you're wondering who it is, it's not Vivian. It's definitely the dog. So let's get right into the season. Do you want to talk about the signings first?
Yeah, so a lot to talk about tonight.
I think before we go into the signings, we'll go into the ones that have left.
So let's just start straight away. Yesterday we got the news that Sakala left.
Aye.
Thoughts on that, Viv?
Quite sad. I don't know. I think I liked his letter. I sent that on to you
It was
last
good,
night.
aye.
It was
Yeah.
really heartfelt. I felt that he did have a lot of passion, and it was quite sad, but
I think to
time
be,
to go.
I think to be fair with it, it was probably inevitable that he was leaving.
Yeah,
Whether
wasn't a shock.
whether people want him to go or no, I think it was definitely inevitable he was going to leave. What cost him, in my opinion, was his performances weren't too bad. His commitment was 100%. He seemed to love the game, but see when it came to an open goal or a goal scoring opportunity, he missed too many,
So many.
Those games at Hampden.
and it was the big ones that he missed.
Yeah,
And
so
at this
many.
level, you can't do that. So I think it was unfortunate. It was a hard time for him being there, and I would thank him for his time with Rangers. But ultimately, we need a better outcome in front of goals. But we'll speak about that in a minute because we'll speak about Saturday.
I take Vivian, you're absolutely right. Great passion and a very heartfelt letter as well. I had a bit of a post up last night talking about inconsistency. Lewis, you're right as well. I think instinctively, or when he didn't have time to think about it, he was a good player. He was in the good touches, couple of nice goals as well. But you've hit a nail in the head when he had time to stop and think under a bit of pressure. He kind of froze a little bit, unfortunately. But he's still a young guy, still a young lad. He's got a future ahead of him. I would like to see him go on loan for a season.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
they maybe needed the money.
but at the end of the day, it's wages for somebody else. But what concerns me is have at this moment in time, which we'll get to the signings in a minute, but have we brought in better or have we sold the wrong player?
Yeah, I think
Exactly.
we should also acknowledge the fact that he got offered, I believe, a deal to Saudi Arabia and never took that.
He did.
So he's
it
obviously
did,
went to a club for more or less footballing reasons, I would say.
It was a Saudi Arabian club. Beale's press conference today confirmed it was a Saudi Arabian
Yeah,
club,
is it?
and the wages were just too high for him to turn down for
So,
him and his family.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I thought he was going to go elsewhere, but they've been after him for a wee while. So
Yeah.
Aye.
I think we'll agree. We wish him all the best. Lovely letter, but the show must go on.
Yeah, obviously we've lost at the end of last season. Murray lost, Ken, Arfield left, McGregor and Hollander as well.
No
so
surprises with any of them though.
No surprises
No.
with anything. Perhaps a tiny bit of a surprise with Arfield leaving. But I say we have brought in like 74 midfielders since then. But we have brought in like 74 midfielders in the last 12 months. But
This is what we wanted, though. 'Cause
Yeah.
I kept saying, people saying, bring back Morelos after Saturday, and I'm like, what?
Aye, that was it. Unfortunately, you get the reactions, don't you?
Yeah.
It was quite a reactionary response to the performance.
You're going to get that. It's one of these things.
Because it was the first one, it was shock. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people expected a lot.
Just getting a message on this checking.
so obviously with the players leaving, we brought in a lot of players as well. So we'll start with the kind of bigger signings. So well, obviously we know before we had Raskin and Cantwell, we
Stop
brought
it.
in kind of Kieran Dull and Sterling very quite early on in the transfer window.
Yep.
We then brought in Butland, Lammers, Seema, Dessers, and we signed Balogun, and we've also brought in Josie Cafena. I can never pronounce that.
Fuentes.
It's going to be one of the
Fuentes,
pushing Haskell in the situation for me this season, innit?
Just call him Chelsea.
Every season. And of course, Ed Danilo as well. So we have invested a lot, and we brought in a lot of players. Predominantly midfielders, a few attackers as well.
Yeah.
And however, fairly concerning for me, especially after the goal we lost again on Saturday, we haven't seemed to have invested a lot in defence.
We haven't, no.
That's something that I'll start after we talk about for the new season. One of the big disappointments for me at the weekend was the fact that the fullbacks, our captain at one side, another side, Borna Barisic, too predictable. Everybody in Scottish football knows what these guys are going to do. I mean, you're watching Barisic, he gets the ball, every move now, he gets the ball, 3/4 of the way up the park, stops and crosses into the middle of the goals. Big centre half decent centre halves waiting on it, clears it, and that's it. The corners are no much better, set pieces I would say are no much better, but the defence still makes silly mistakes at big points in games. It's Suter. I don't believe in making excuses for the park, because if you're going to go down blaming the pitch, then I think winners don't make excuses. They find ways of winning, and Rangers were looking as if their heads were down at times. Cantwell, I don't know why he didn't play the game. He came on with 20 minutes to go or something, half
I
an hour.
could maybe help out with that briefly.
Is it not Europe? Is that keeping
no,
them for?
well, at the start of the game, I didn't travel to the game. His interview was very strange. It said that there was a busy period coming up, so he's maybe rested him. But it's the first game of the season.
Yeah.
He surely can't be tired already.
You need to commit the traps running. I think Cantwell's proved to be, in my opinion, Rangers' best player,
Yeah.
and I would be building the team around Cantwell and Ranskin. However, it looks as if Lammers had a good pre-season, and maybe Michael Beale feels differently. Maybe he thinks build a team around Sam Lammers. I would disagree, but I think that's a mistake. I would have Cantwell in the team every week.
Yeah.
The only time I would drop him is if he needs dropped or else if he's injured, because that's the kind of guy that wins games for you. The flair he's got and the passion.
Talk about the signings. So Butland looks like a decent goalkeeper. He's got a good pedigree. He's played for England 8 or 9 times, and I think he looked part of the, again, coming out for the corner on Saturday, but he looked fairly comfortable with a couple of good saves.
Probably the only one that had
saves.
pass marks, wasn't he?
Well, just as you're saying that, Gordon, just to interrupt you because I might forget this. Actually, my analysis to the game afterwards, because I was going out, and the first thing I thought was, Butland, good goalkeeper, very confident. However, Butland's got a better tackle than our defenders have. Because what a tackle the guy's got.
That was a
Far,
great tackle.
far better tackle, and he didn't bottle it either. We'll speak about that in a minute, our captain. He's got a better tackle than most of our defenders, to say the least, and he's probably got a better pass than the midfielders that were on the park at the time. He looked like the Premiership. A Premiership goalkeeper's got to have a good distribution. They've got to come off the line, and he's got all that. So I would say definitely that's probably the biggest success signing wise as a goalkeeper. I can now see why he's going to be ahead of McCrory.
Yeah.
He's a better goalkeeper.
Yeah. So let's talk about a few other things. We obviously know about Raskin and Cantwell. So so we're talking about maybe the bigger signings up front. So first of all, Danilo. He looks like a player. He's got a good pedigree. He's played for Ajax and Feyenoord.
Yeah.
Played a lot of games for these clubs. You're not a crap player playing for these clubs. I think he's got some good technical ability. He can be exciting. So I think that over the course of the season, he will be a good signing for us. But we have to get him up and running up to speed very quickly.
I mean, his profile really reminded me of Kemar Roof. You know, I've been watching some of his goals that he scored, and he's not just like an Alfredo Morelos, you know, in the box striker. He scores from outside the box. He tries things, and it's similar to Kemar Roof, but you know, he's not got the injury prone.
Well, I was going to say, hopefully plays a few more games with Kemar Roof.
He seems to be the main striker that Michael Beale wanted. I believe anyway. I might be wrong with that, but I thought that was the one he wanted the most. But he was the last one we got in.
Yeah. So
he's not many games to prove himself. So I don't think it's too early to criticise him just now.
Sam Lamers.
I thought he had a good pre-season, but at the weekend against Kilmarnock, I thought the game totally flew past him. I didn't see anything from him at all. I was disappointed in him. He's definitely got skill, but maybe Scottish football took him by surprise. I really don't know, but I would have took him over half time.
Possibly. Again, one of these players, I think you're right, Si, he did have a good pre-season and a couple of goals. I think he'll do it. The thing is, right, you can only judge on what you've seen, and on Saturday it wasn't particularly impressive, but
No.
I do really think that players like that will do well. What the big summer striker, big Nigerian,
Serial Dessers.
Dessers, Nigerian from Cremonese, did he sign?
Yeah.
I don't. It's early doors, and I don't want to be down the road of criticising signings that have just came into the club.
Yeah.
However, I don't really, for what I've seen him, I don't see him being any better than Sakala, if I'm being honest.
So I always worry about Rangers buying players from clubs that are bottom of the leagues getting relegated every season. Because for me that's not a winning mentality. That's not the mentality of having to win every single game. I think that's been a problem the last couple of seasons. We don't go in, we don't have that kind of belief that we're going to win every game, and I think that shows sometimes. And I mean, it's difficult to afford players that are winning every game. So I get that, but maybe that's when you look to the Championship or you look to other markets and you go, right, who are the up and coming players that have been successful for a couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, I think Dessers is a player that's definitely got finishing ability, but it seems like it's similar when Cantwell came in. You know, you just felt that he was trying a bit too hard, and that was the case with Dessers. Like, there was a moment he got played through and goal, and fair play to the Kilmarnock defender, he made a really good tackle. But then there was a moment when he was in the box and he flung his foot at it about 5 times and didn't shoot, and then played it off to Lundstrom, and that frustrated me because he could have had a popping goal there, but
Sima, again, a lot of people criticising Sima. He played well over in Czech Republic these days. Any communists watching, apologies. And then he signed for Brighton, who play amazing football and have got a really strong team. So you don't get a move to Brighton if you've got poor technical ability.
Yep.
So again, I think he can do well for us. It's just finding the chemistry with these players. It's just getting them gelled together, and it's just giving the supply from the kind of midfield to the transition and attack. That's the problem we had on Saturday as well.
I read a good statement, and it was this kind of fitted, but it was through like the Gerrard, Gio, Beale era. It's like we're way too cautious in our approach, and people are blaming fitness or blaming player selection, but it seems that all the players, including the new and the old, are playing the same roles, and there's something no right.
Well, just
Do
to
you know
add
what
to
I
that,
mean? And there's no energy changing. Do you know what I mean?
it's a really good point, but as part of that, I would say
Aye.
is two defensive midfielders in a game like that is
Absolutely.
negative, and that's one of the reasons. I know I've seen an article about this, about justifying it. I don't know how you justify. If you're going to play two defensive midfielders in a game like that, then you're going to be less attacking, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Right, so what we do, if it's up to you, Si, but
We'll do
and
some
you guys, but we do
comments.
some comments and go and talk about the game in detail on Saturday.
See who's
Aye.
But let's get comments first because there's quite a lot.
Aye, so it's your show, guys. So any comments or questions, anything you want to discuss or anything you want us to discuss, then please give us a shout and let us know.
First one, can Mr. White, Scott White, can we debate our captain?
inevitable is going to come up.
The only issue I've got about that is we seem to have this conversation
Every week.
every time we get beat. I
We
think
actually do.
he should have changed the captaincy in the pre-season, I think, and it seems to be a stigma for him now because I don't think he's becoming a better player he's been a captain so long, but I don't think he's improving, Tav. But who do you give the captaincy to? That would be a different argument. I don't know who.
I mean, have you going to pick a captain, you need someone that's going to start every single week without fail, and someone that knows the club.
They're
And I
probably
feel
like Golson.
Goldson, but is Goldson going to be much different from that?
I don't see Golson displaying much more leadership skills, if any more than
That's what I'm
Tavernier.
saying. But he would be the natural. Scott, who do you think should be the captain?
So
That's up for debate, but I think we should have changed the captaincy. It's not a good idea, maybe new to do it, but you should have done it.
So hello to Donna, Alexander, George, James Marshall, William Herd, maybe your Davis brother, don't know.
Shopping on Saturday.
Hi, Darryl.
So Darryl, shopping on Saturday. Yeah, we're going to go and talk about the game in more detail in a minute. But yeah,
Hi, James.
Sitting in the caravan with a beer this one.
Sounds
Right.
good.
Caravan I love.
Still holiday mode.
Aye, hi James McDonald, Matthew Tomlinson, a bit a few comments up, and Craig Blackett.
Intense training is what did he get fingered? That's a good point for Matthew because
He's got a lot of
when
Beale's
when
got a lot
Michael
of
Beale
hard
came, I thought that's what we were going to have.
Yeah,
That was the kind of
work.
the
Intense kind of.
intense training. Well, it was going to be intense football and it was going to be a high press, but we didn't have any high press at the weekend. We didn't have anything like that. So that's a good. But if you're going to do intense training, it should really have been in pre-season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very strange indeed.
Build up to pre-season was
Wasn't the best. I
It
well,
was,
some of the
yeah.
games
Picture
were,
loose,
that's the problem. Some of the players weren't. Some of the games weren't great.
seeing all these players come on.
Carlos Berra from Rhodes Town.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's somebody watching for Rhodes. I hope you're perfectly safe.
David.
Road seems to be alright because the convention's still going ahead.
I know. I seen that.
100%.
Butland, good
Butland.
player. Yeah,
Yeah.
Butland's been
I
very.
think everybody's in agreement that Butland's been the one positive so far,
Yeah.
and he's got a bit of passion as well. What we need,
Yeah.
we definitely need that in the team.
Even to David Simpson and David Kennedy, how you doing? Did you see any of our summer signings giving us a goal? Tom, we have seen our close. Okay, so what you're asking there, whoever that is basically, will we get the same out of Danilo, Sima, Lamar's, etc. than we get out of Morelos and Kent? I think given Morelos and Kent's goal scoring records over the last couple of years and assist record,
I
I
think so.
think we'd have to be perfectly honest. But we need more. We need
more,
more.
yeah.
And last season, what killed us was that patch under Gio when we went away from home and couldn't score against St Johnstone or breakdowns at Murn, etc. The games that we struggle on. I mean, the games against Celtic, I thought, last season with Michael Beale, I thought we played very well, and two out of three of them, and deservedly, we should have won two.
Missed
We
the
only
setup.
lost one.
Yep.
And then, so those big games we seem to take care of ourselves, but it's the games against Kilmarnock away, St Murn away, St Johnstone away.
Yeah.
But
Well-
back to the point he's making, Gordon, right?
Yeah.
Something that I was saying when I watched the Hamburg game. See these strikers that we brought in.
Mhm.
We just need one of them that can score in front of an open goal. See the,
Yeah.
and I know it's a simple thing, but that's what McCoist was great at. McCoist and all the great strikers, they don't have to score for miles out or anything. They just
No.
Gary Lineker. They're just in the right
Get it
place at the
at
right time. And the first thing I seen, I know Lammers is not a striker, but Lammers against I think Hamburg, open goal. He's running towards it, and I'm like, it's a pass. He's going to pass it. It doesn't even hit the target. Like, how do we keep signing these players who can't score? Do the simple things. We know they've got the talent.
Well-
We've seen Seema in the back heel, nearly scored on the weekend, but do the bloody simple things. See when the boy's in front of goal, at least get it on target and make the keeper, force the keeper at a save. And if any of these strikers can score the easy goals, they'll get a barrel load this season because they'll get plenty of ammunition, I believe.
I suppose
One of them needs to do it.
one of the departures we forgot about is Kovac, who scored 18 goals, I think 18 or 19 goals, but he was
Yeah.
injured for half the season. So, can any of these players replicate Kovac's goals? And at this moment in time, I honestly, unfortunately, don't know.
I think you need a good mix because Kolak was a player that could just get you loads of tap-ins, like score a good range of goals, but he didn't, necessarily, help the team in sort of link-up ways and, trying to get further up the pitch. He was quite slow, but when he got in the box, he was a really good finisher.
I mean, I think he was a victim of the fact that he was more a Gio type player than he was for Beale. I don't think Michael Beale kind of liked him, his style, but he got the goals. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Some of these players we just want one player at a club who scores goals.
Right.
Doesn't need to be fancy, but just the ball goes in the box. You don't have to. Like Sakala, the classic example. You're closing your eyes. You're going, Jesus. You don't want that.
I feel like a broken record in saying somebody like Lawrence Franklin, but I won't say it anymore because I don't think it's going to happen.
It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Stephen Ferguson watching all the way from New Zealand. How you doing? So
The answer to that one is the Scott White saying to me, suitor for the captaincy, I think, because that's just came in there. Good point. If he's going to, I know you're saying about playing, how many games is he going to play? But if he's going to be fit,
Did a bit of research today, and over the course of literally the last 10 years, Suter's played an average of something like 16 games a season.
I thought that, yeah.
Right,
It's not
so now maybe hopefully his injuries are behind him and etc. And I really hope and pray that's the case. But I think he's somebody that's going to play more than half the games of the season. Si, we'll talk about the game in more detail, tactics wise. I think you.
Tony's asking me about Rhodes. I'm planning to go to Rhodes still, Tony. I held off obviously about the incidents that took place. It was a disaster. You call it a disaster?
Oh, a natural disaster.
natural disaster.
Fires and whatnot. Hope everyone's safe. I'm thinking about maybe I think
But I'm still planning to go.
Maybe
Tony. Tony goes every year to the convention.
Might all go.
we still might all go.
So watching from back, who's that?
Basket.
Carol.
Yep. Carol, hi Carol. David, watching for Coventry.
Yeah, hi guys, everyone, good to have you back this season, onwards and upwards. So tactics on Saturday, you made a fantastic point. I was going to bring it up myself anyway, but playing against Kilmarnock, away from home, first game of the season, and we play not to get beat, and we play with two defensive midfielders in Lundstrom and Raskin. Can MD answer why that was the case?
The only reason I can think of, and I hope I'm wrong, is Michael Beale seems to be the type of manager that's got favourites. that he's got guys that he relies on, he believes will do a job for him. And Lundstrom has had one really good season with Rangers. If anything, he's a squad player who should be coming on every now and again to help win games and maybe do a couple of hard tackles or something like that and put a wee bit of dig into the game. That's my opinion. I like the guy, I definitely like the guy, but I don't think. I think if you're playing a guy, you play one defensive in Scottish football, you need one defensive midfielder, no two. Certainly don't need two in a game like against Kilmarnock. I think he's too loyal to their own players. And for an example, the Hearts fans are raving about Lowry's performance at the weekend, who's out on he's
Loan, yeah.
out on loan with a chance to call him back, but I don't think he's in favour with Rangers. But
Strange.
But he's the type of player you're talking about as an attacking player who makes chances. So he's no in the running for it. So are we going to keep playing this type of a game with two defensive midfielders?
You can now, as much as I hate saying this in my head, right, we need to be honest. I can understand it going away to Celtic Park and playing it right to start off with. Right, I get that. I wouldn't do it myself, but I can understand that. I can understand it be for home in Europe as well, when you want to maybe try and feel yourself into the game.
But that's a better quality of team.
Exactly, Si. So when you're playing a team like Kilmarnock, you go and you set about them and you dominate the game. You don't give them a chance to rest. You don't give them a chance to set their positions. You don't give them a chance to get the ball off, pass the ball about. We don't go and dominate them from start to finish. And Rangers just don't seem a team that wants to do that, let alone do it.
Too cautious.
There was another issue. The tactics and the team. The team selection was a concern for me. As I said, I thought
understand that.
I thought Cantwell should have played for the start. However, there is something else. I spoke about this last year with the throw-ins. As the multi-ball systems now came in, where there's going to every team in the Scottish, I think it's every league in Scotland should, I'm not 100%, but at the top flight of Scottish football, you need a ball boy with the balls ready all the time, so they're throwing the balls in and it's continuous play. If you watch Rangers at the weekend, the amount of times that our players sprinted, this is highlighted on Twitter, sprinted over to win the ball, get themselves exhausted, hold the ball, and Tavernier comes for the other side of the park to take the shy.
It's the same.
You've lost, and it passes it back to the goalkeeper, and it was happening with Ranskin as well with a corner. He tried to take a short corner. Nobody came back for it, came forward for me to do it. There's no urgency in the team, no urgency whatsoever. No. This is a team that was going for a high press, high urgency, high tempo football to lacklustre at the weekend. I thought it was as if it was still pre-season when I watched it the second half.
Something that really frustrated me is I saw a graph online of players' average possessions, and Lundstrom was all the way out on the right covering Tavernier throughout the entire match, and you'd think if we've got Barisic and Tavernier both playing in extremely advanced positions, we'd try and we'd be able to break down this like 5-man Kilmarnock defence, but we were just unable to, and it was baffling. And I just think that Barisic and Tavernier's obsession with crossing the ball in
early, and they cross it in early as well. There's no byline cross.
We've got Dessos in the box, and Lammers fair enough is alright with his head, but it's pointless. We need to be making quality chances in the box, and quality chances have been proven not to come from crosses for us, so I don't know why we continue to do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a point there, David McLaughlin has made. We need to move the ball quicker. Well, that exactly back to what I'm saying. That's what I thought the kind of Michael Beale style of football was going to be.
There's no urgency at all.
It's strange because when Gerard first came in, it took us a wee while, but we got going, and that's the kind of football he played for the first season, 2 seasons.
I would actually say that was our best football. When we done the fast play.
Michael Beale, for want of a better expression, grew up as a coach with Gerard on that, and it just, I don't know what it is with modern Rangers managers that just play this cautious, defensive. And I don't understand. We've got better players than Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock had the same, or if not more, new players.
10 players, I think.
In their team than we had on Saturday, but they looked a team. Okay, they had a game plan and it worked. They don't get me wrong. They played a few competitive games, but then their competitive games are League Cup games against 3rd and 2nd division clubs. So, I just think that. Well, you made a good point about the players not going up to play. If you're sitting with defensive midfielders, they're not going up to support the front three. So see when you've got then Danilo or Lammers or Dess or whoever it is has to drop back to get the ball. and then there's nobody in front of them.
In front of him.
And
So
it's,
it's when you get.
But that's down to the manager. That's
Aye, so
gotta
if
be
you're
the
playing
manager's fault.
two defensive midfielders that are sitting on the halfway line or before, there's a gap between them in the front. So then your forward players have to come back, and when they get the ball, they have to wait for the runs to get made, but they're not getting made.
Yeah.
I just think it was strange and
I mean,
Saturday.
it's not even the fact that we're playing two defensive midfielders. It's just the fact that we're playing a defensive midfielder in Lundstrom who can't charge forward with the ball. I mean, Raskin, he's perfectly capable of driving forward. And have we played Cifuentes? So if we had a midfield of Cantwell, Raskin, and Cifuentes, that would be perfectly capable of having the balance. And you can say that you have two defensive midfielders in there, and it's Cifuentes that can be pushing forward Raskin, and it's.
Well, for an example, what you're saying, I think when did Lundstrom come off? Can anybody remember?
It was like round about the 65th minute.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Sal's got baffling as well because he brought in Ryan Jack to replace him, and it's
And
like, well,
But the point I was going to make was, see if you watch the game, I think that Ranskin played a far better game, and he was more attacking, and he was more back to his old style as when Lundstrom came off.
Yeah.
It's as if Lundstrom was holding them back. The two of them don't play well together. It's not a good combination. And I think if Ryan Jack's fit, Ryan Jack's playing. If he's no fit, if a player's no fit, I wouldn't have him on the bench.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Ryan Jack, for the captaincy. If he's playing enough games, I would agree with it. But we need these guys to be fully fit and they need to be playing. Nobody, I don't know anybody that can justify, can understand the decision to have Cantwell on the bench. He's my best player on the team.
Exactly, should have started regardless.
and if he's tired, you'll maybe go, if you play Cantwell and you play attacking, you get a couple of goals, you go to not take him off in 20 minutes to go.
And if
Do you
he's
know what I
tired,
mean?
there's a concern as well. How can he be
Aye.
tired?
But
He's an
he
athlete.
said, Bill's words before the games, I heard them myself, was that there was a tight schedule coming up, so he didn't want to start him. That was it. That wasn't word for word, but that was just it.
So that sounds
Sure.
well like he's worried about the pitch for injury. But you can't, in my opinion, you've got to win these games. You can't worry about the pitch.
Aye,
The
so
pitch is there
leaves
for
them going.
everybody's got to play in it.
Yeah.
You start as you mean to go on, isn't it?
It just, I mean, I heard a lot of people saying that Cantwell did have a poor pre-season. That might be the reason, but I mean, if you're making that argument, Borna Barisic and John Lundstrom had possibly
The
the
worst.
worst pre-season that you could possibly have.
But you could argue the two of them. But I said that it's like he's got favourites in his team.
Yeah,
Aye.
I agree.
You bring, as I
Something
said,
though,
you
right?
bring in all these kind of midfielders, stroke midfield attackers, and then you start with two defensive midfielders. If we're bringing in 4 or 5 attacking midfielders,
Yeah.
if he's going to play two defensive midfielders every game,
Yeah.
then where do they all play? How do they all play?
Also, the question I would ask is, what was the point in signing Ridvan?
Yeah.
Because the boys never had a big run of games, and I think that Ridvan should be. I think we should be looking to replace Borna. He's only got a season left in his contract.
Well, that's the same for Lundstrom and Bonner, I believe, and we've already lost 4 or 5 players last
Because
season.
of that,
Because of that,
Yeah.
it's a very, very poor business model to
Ilmaz
keep
had
doing
a-
this.
Yilmaz had a small knock, and that's why he's missing. So he won't be playing for Rangers until next August. Probably.
I hope we didn't go to the Rangers doctor to go for 2 years.
the other concern that I've got,
He always went NHS.
the other concern that I've got, and this is just thinking out the box. So we talked to my brother Scott about this. Tom Lawrence came back, featured for about 20 minutes, and I've not heard a thing since then. I've not seen him in the squad or anything.
He's out again.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that he's maybe picked up another injury, or else he wasn't fully fit.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe
he would
not fully
be
fit.
a big player for us in the midfield, and he would fill the gap that we're talking about, box to box for the midfield.
Yeah, he was, and that's the thing with Tom Lawrence. He is he might not be an absolute world beater, but he's an incredible player playing against Scottish teams, and he proved that at the start of last season.
And he can shoot outside the box.
He can shoot outside the box, and he definitely wants to shoot outside the box, and that frustrated me sometimes last season.
But he
you
appears to have
can't-
disappeared
you
now.
can't, you can't fault his effort, and when you're you're losing a player, Lawrence and Tillman, you've got what are we replacing them with? Like, there's no forward thinking midfielders in there, and you're thinking maybe Lowry, and Lowry's came on against St Johnson, absolutely walked it. Hearts fans are loving him, and
Yeah.
I thought that's what we're screaming out for, and it's a player, and I think we just need a chance.
The midfield's not got enough flair in it. Sorry to have him dig, but Kilmarnock sat back most of the game and played their game plan, and to be fair to them, it worked.
Yeah,
I've seen a comment as well. Lewis Mayo couldn't get a game with Rangers.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he shined in it at the
What
weekend.
happens if we get a couple of
He did, didn't it?
what happens when we get a couple of right injuries at the back? You know what I mean? I've heard rumours that Bill wants to play a 5-3-2, but I don't think we'll be lucky to have 5 fit defenders every week. The way things are going.
So there's some. So Lawrence
Stephen
started back
McCluskey.
training, so he must have been injured again
Aye.
after that.
You'll be available next week.
Who's the one in the middle? Lily, is that me they're talking about?
It
I'm in
depends.
the middle.
Lily.
Yes,
Ah,
if
well,
you're here, I'm in the middle.
Well, it's definitely
Aye.
not me then. Just want to say, Marion Poirier's
Aye, I seen that. Sorry, sir.
So Marion, I've read your comment. Absolutely fantastic. I hope you're doing really well. Good to have you watching the show, and absolutely
So
fantastic.
she made just for
proud.
anyone never saw it, she's just told everybody that she's let us know that her diagnosis came back. She's now cancer free.
That's
Brilliant.
amazing.
And I wish I had a bell because you're making a bell, but we don't have a bell,
Wishing
do
you
we?
all the best.
Aye.
That's beautiful news.
Right.
Well done.
So
Let's catch up with some of the comments and
Yeah,
then we'll go to the
get lots of
European
comments.
game.
It's
If
lovely
anybody
hear
wants to
from
call,
everyone.
do you want to give us a phone number?
We need to
Yeah,
move the ball quicker. Neil couldn't get a game in their defence, but in sat.
Aye,
The other
brilliant.
strikers, aye, he
Yeah,
done
the
well.
number is 0141 319 5230.
And
Thank you.
it's a free call if you want to give us a.
if anybody wants to phone in, what's the number? 0141
519.
319
319
5230.
5230.
I need to get that tattooed on me, man.
Right. So,
Move it down a bit. We've done the comments.
We've done them.
I think I'm allergic to this dog.
We've got Australia
Snatching
watching
everything.
as well. There's people watching
What,
for
the whole
Australia.
hello, the whole of us. Hello, Dave Edna.
Butland for
Butler for
captain.
captain. That's one that I was actually thinking about. Maybe in the future. I don't think he knows enough about
Yeah.
Rangers and Scottish football, do you? But the passion that he's got next season or the season after, it wouldn't surprise me. If it goes the way he's playing now, he would be a good option. But right now, I think it's going to be somebody that knows the club
Oh, yeah.
to be
Yeah.
the captain. And I don't think they'll change it. I really don't.
Happy 49th birthday to Ian James Barron. You don't live a day over 48 and a half.
Watching from Darlington.
Where's that?
Darlington is next to somewhere in England. Next to
David.
Scarborough, I think.
David made a good point. Just basically what we've been saying. No high pressure, allowing them to regroup and 10 men behind the ball. No urgency to win the ball back, allowing the other team to play.
Yeah.
And we won't break down teams.
And we
That's
revert,
so
and
true.
we seem to revert back to this goals and long ball a lot of the time on Saturday
yeah.
as well, which was really
Which-
frustrating.
Works really well when you're playing a European team. Doesn't work as well when you're playing Kilmarnock, who have
Oh.
all 11 men in the box at all times.
Yeah.
So let's finish the comments and then we'll catch up with the.
I know we're at 2:15 nearly already.
Catch up with we'll do 10 minutes of the European game.
Yeah.
End of what I give you a wee call, you've got the phone number, it's on the screen, you can see it. It'd be good to talk to people who've not heard from us in a while.
Where's the pace in our team?
Well,
Exactly.
that was it, that was the whole point. There was,
No
they
urgency.
didn't seem to have
And the
any
doctor's
pace in the
office.
team.
Looking forward, because it's always
Watching
good
from
to
Preston.
look forward as well as back. Looking forward, we've got a
Game.
big game tomorrow. We're playing
Sorry.
Stop
and I always pronounce them Servette, sort of Servette, but I think they are
Is
called
it?
Servette.
I think so, yeah.
I mean-
So, good team, good rate, it's great result. I think Genk are probably the strongest team out of the two, to be honest, on
Yeah.
paper. But football's not played on paper; it's played in grass. And
I'll not go over
Servette-
Marco for the Apprentice Boys this year, sorry mate, in Londonderry. But I
eh,
hope you enjoy it. Catch up with
Servette,
you in Bristol soon.
Servette did really well. I think I think one of the players was always suspended after getting sent off.
Aye, I think he's
Eh.
our best player, if I
Yeah.
read that right. I don't know much about him, but I'm
Eh.
quite sure he was probably their best player. Was it?
Aye,
I was a striker.
As well, one of their top players, who's a Cameroonian international, has been denied access to the country because he's part Russian,
Right.
all right, okay.
which is one of their
Should have
better
took his
players.
time, man.
Aye. Going too
Eh.
fast. That's not the paces went.
A team like Servette,
How?
a team like Servette Rangers should have him on a plate, but it, the
You give me
Swiss
the
league-
white handkerchiefs for that joke.
I would say the Swiss league is probably in par with the Scottish league.
Is it?
So, well, I would
Yeah,
say
I would
Not
say so.
exactly.
I would say that
I would say it's probably
You've got
probably better.
young
standard
boys,
overall.
Servette,
they're
FC
probably
Zion.
quite close to like for like. But what I'm saying is I
Right.
wouldn't underestimate them as a Swiss team. That Swiss teams are no great, and I would also say that they've had a few more games in the season than us. So this is a game that we can't take lightly. Rangers need to be on their game for it. Rangers
Just-
need to be ready.
I would also like to add Cedric Eaton scored a hat-trick against this mob last season, so I'd take of that what you will.
Just what Lewis said. I just can't believe that comment, Lewis. Like he's half Cameroon, half Russian. It's not two countries you'd probably put together as somebody from
But
somebody being
see,
kind
the
of.
thing is, though, we're going to
Exactly.
laugh. He's got the Russian looks and he's got the Cameroonian bottom side, you know. But he's probably the opposite.
Yeah, don't know what
Ah.
that means. So, no,
That would be bad luck,
I
wouldn't it?
don't know many.
That would be bad
I
luck.
don't know many Cameroonians that well, to be honest. But I'll take one for it. So, I think. So again, it's a cliche, but it just depends.
So they're a weaker team.
I think
Is that what we're
100%.
getting told
Yeah,
here?
So
on
they're
paper,
ranked-
100%.
We're ranked 30th in the UEFA rankings, and they're ranked 205th.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fair play.
Okay.
The other thing I've seen as well is that the home tie, the away tie, their home tie is the first time they've sold their stadium it.
Yeah.
So they're obviously confident
Mm-hmm.
that they've got a chance.
Do you need a response
I think
tomorrow?
the first time they sold out in over 30 years, so they must.
So, but I kind of done a bit of research on this team as well as you do for the Gers TV, fully professionals here. Basically, they went into administration. They went insolvent. They lost. They went for Division 3 again. They lost a lot of fans, and in the last few years they've started to they got back up to the Swiss Premier League, and the fans have started to come back. I think they finished second or third last season. Their average attendance for the last couple of years has been about 9,000-10,000. So they were always like up in like 80s and 90s and all that. They were a good team. I think they spent. I'm not trying to make parallels here, but they probably spent money they didn't have. They went into administration, get sent to Division 3,
Sounds familiar.
and came back up, and now they're back in the Champions League. So they were going on after the game against Genk. They were calling it an historic win.
How long
know,
ago was this?
Last week.
So no, the administration about 10
No,
years.
you
ago.
can pay
I
I was like,
So-
10 years ago.
but between the last 10 to
Last 10
15
years.
years.
Okay.
So you're hoping they're going to be overwhelmed at Ibrox tomorrow night, and Rangers will go for the throats.
But they'll be up for it. They'll be totally on a high bat as well, won't they?
I think-
Absolutely, they get a good result against Genk in their hands. So yeah.
They'll be confident and they've really got nothing to lose. I would suggest that Rangers should be getting into the game trying to score early and trying to maybe frighten them a wee bit. And if they score early, try and get a few goals, because you don't want to be going over there with a 1 or 2 deficit.
I would like to see a large scoreline tomorrow.
I think that's what Stephen says. We need a win, but we need to have a
convincing
convincing
win,
win.
exactly.
It's such a
I just
good term.
I just think
Aye.
that if we don't go out the traps and get a result yesterday tomorrow, it just puts us under pressure with the start of the season as well. Like the game against Saturday.
We could
just
really be
puts
doing a
us-
clean sheet tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
Aye.
And a couple of goals.
Could be.
A convincing win to try and settle the fans, and
But-
preferably goals from Dessers and Danilo just to
Yeah,
try
and I think Rangers always, in the last couple of years, we've had some of our best performances have been in Europe as well. So
That's
I
true.
actually think there's a mentality in these games that we'll go through and we'll win. But for some reason it's not there when we go to St Mirren Park and St Johnstone and Kilmarnock. It's a strange thing.
It was a really good point. I don't know who made it, but a couple of minutes ago somebody made a good point. Did we start too many new signings in the one game?
I did see that.
No,
Yeah.
no, well, Kilmarnock started the same amount as us, so
Yeah.
Aye, so that kind of nullifies that in a way. But how
Maybe
many
it
have they
has.
played 3 or 4 games, boys?
They
Yeah.
would have played.
They
all
would
the
have played a few
league-
games.
They would have had the League Cup group stages to gel their players, but that pretty much replaces pre-season friendlies.
You can go down the excuse route, or you could, as a fact, but you could go down the route of saying,
Got a call?
well, I don't know,
Right,
but we
but-
need the numbers.
396.
guys, just a reminder, if you are calling in, on the Facebook comment section, type in your last 3 numbers after you're in the comments, so we can see your name, and then we can see the number, and then we know who's calling in. Okay, so if you want to, please call and chat
Last
to us,
3.
but just type in your last 3 numbers in the comment box, so we can match it with your name, and then we'll accept your call.
Aye, because as I was saying there, is if you're bringing so many like foreign players into Scottish football and playing them in that park, there is the argument that it was too many at the one time and no used to it. But that's what the manager should have right away. Why would you not play Cantwell? Cantwell's played in the park, he can play on it. So that's Warren's fault. That's bad tactics if that's the case. But as for the game tomorrow night, it's a game that Rangers really need to win quite convincingly with a bit of flair. They need to take the fans back on board here.
Sorry, do you know what? The strange thing is this season, it just seems like it's already a must-win game.
Yep.
Tomorrow?
Aye.
I
It
think
is.
so, yeah.
Um,
I think it is.
And if they can overcome these 2 legs, it looks like they're going to play PSV, is it?
Yeah, and do you know what, it's strange because, like, obviously,
That won't be easy.
it won't be easy. The PSV is a very, very strong team.
Yeah.
But I don't know, when it comes to these European, look at Bale and Gerrard over the last 3 or 4 seasons. We've came through dozens of qualifying games. We seem to be able to get it right for these two-legged games, but
What we do.
it's strange that we don't seem to replicate that in some of our league form, especially away from home. But I'm actually more confident of qualifying for the Champions League than beating some of these teams in at like Ross County away, etc. It's weird. It's strange.
The worrying thing is with so many new players as well.
PSV are one up.
It's great being in the Champions League, but to compete against some of these teams, when you look at some of the transfers that are going on in the last couple of months, it's incredible.
I know.
And you look at the run we had in the Europa, a wee bit inside you thinks that Europa's more suited to us, but the glamour of the Champions League.
Bisgrove seems to think we're a Champions League team that can compete.
I wouldn't believe it. He said, to be fair.
No, I think Sai's right.
I love the Champions League, but I was still on Ibrox. I was at the Ajax game when they beat us away, and I was still on Ibrox when Liverpool scored their 7th goal. Numb. So I can see the two sides to it, but we need to get there. That's the big thing, and we need to win one game at a time, and we need to get the feel good factor, because these players need to understand exactly what we said earlier on. Rangers are know about winning every 2 or 3 games. Rangers need to start winning every game they play in.
Exactly.
Just a note on PSV. One of the players that they're bringing in is one of their new signings is Malik Kilman.
Yeah.
Seen that?
So
Is
he's.
it?
Yeah.
I thought I read last week he signed already, but I think it's still up for debate. It's still up for
It looks like
discussion.
he's going there. And PSV are 1-0 up just now.
Mhm.
They're playing Sturm Graz or
Sturm Graz.
Austria.
Yeah.
A team that we beat quite comfortably it seems like a lifetime ago now.
Not in my lifetime, probably.
I wonder if UEFA gave him a warning for sectarian yodeling. Maybe not.
God, is that a time? Jeez.
If you want to call, guys, we did get a call a minute ago, but the rules are if you want to call, we only need the last 3 digits, so we know who you are. We'd love to hear your calls, but we need to know who you are. I agree with Bobby Patterson here. This mob tomorrow are not a great side. If we can't produce a comfortable win at home, at the home ground against this team, then something is seriously wrong.
Yeah.
100%. We need to
I
get
would probably rate Survey as probably the kind of same kind of quality as say Aberdeen or Hearts, to be quite honest.
Would you?
Yeah, I would agree, but I think something that can happen is, if we don't go out and win comfortably. I remember a game last season, it was in the Cup, we played Dundee and we only won 1-0 and it was a terrible watch, and have we produced that, yeah, we're winning, but it doesn't really put confidence in you, and it needs to be a comfortable win by 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah.
Well, let us know your predictions for tomorrow then. Let us know your scoring predictions. I'll go 2-0 Rangers.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh goodness. I'm scared
Right.
to say, man.
Everybody moans with their predictions if we get beat. I'll go 3-0 because I think Rangers need
2.
3-0
2.
to Rangers.
Oh, okay.
But I think we need to come out the traps running. We need to get an early goal, get the feel good factor back, get these players playing at Ibrox and under, because they played at Ibrox, these new players, but it was friendlies to experience the actual atmosphere of the ground.
Exactly. You want to see them up for it and actually wanting to play for Rangers.
We need to be positive. We need
Stephen McLucas is positive.
the support.
5-0.
The support need
Oh,
to be,
there we go.
the support need to be something to believe in, and we need to get this result. As much as I want a good performance and everything else, it's more really the result than anything else. We need to get the goals.
3-0.
I'll say 4-1.
No, we'll get
Yeah.
2-4-1 to 3-0. Right, okay.
So
Okay.
you can keep them
So
coming, guys.
positive, so positive.
2 more minutes if you want to give us a wee call. The phone number is 0141 519 319 5230.
He's got a lot of hard work ahead of him, Bill.
Guys, if you remember the supporters club, Vivian's worked on a wee project. She's going to go live here next week. Do you want to talk about that quickly?
Yeah, so we decided, obviously, during our pre-season break, it would be
I'll
a
take
good
6
idea.
now.
Si came up with a good idea to. We used to have on the Rangers website. You used to be able to look up the supporters clubs from all over the world, but for some reason you can no longer do that. That's right. They've took them off. You
Yeah,
said the Evening
it's
Times
gone.
used to do it as well.
I used to see, but you
So
see all
it's
that,
something
don't I?
that you can no longer get kind of readily available. So what I've pulled together is a list of all the Rangers supporters clubs around the world,
A database.
a
Yep.
database, and we will put it up on the website, won't we?
So on the
Um,
website, but we're also going to
um,
try and feature a club every week on here.
We are. We're going to, and we'll invite, we'll mention them, and also maybe get them on, maybe try and get a few on the
Yeah,
show.
if you want your supporters club to be featured in the supporters club, give us a call, talk
Yeah.
about how you were founded, where you're from, how you
Anywhere
get
in
to
the
the
world.
games, anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world at all.
Australia, Canada, New
Because
Zealand,
I'm
America.
aware that there's new ones
Europe,
being
anywhere.
formed
Aye.
and
Will be, yeah.
so
Aye,
it
so if
would
you
be
want
good.
if you want to tell the world about your own supporters clubs, how it's
And how
formed,
people can join them. if
how
they
people
want.
can
Aye.
join, yeah, whereabouts you meet up, etc.
It is because on Facebook, like you see it quite a lot, especially during the holiday season, how many people want to look up places and it's not available, and it's something I don't know why the club done away with it, but it's
But
something that
we've took it on board. We've got
We
it ready.
have.
It's ready to launch, but we'll speak about it more next week.
we will, because we'll have it. We're activating it next week, aren't we? So yeah, looking forward to that.
We've had plenty of comments coming in, guys, with the predictions. Plenty of people telling us their comments on who they think the captain should be if they replace Tav. I don't
Yeah.
think they will.
I don't
Um,
think
They will. And it's good, there's quite a lot of, this is our first show of the season. We didn't really advertise it a lot today or through the week. It's great to get back, and it's great to see a lot of new faces and a lot of new people watching and commenting as well.
Aye, guys, it's been fantastic. A lot of new people on it tonight. Good numbers.
Mhm.
Again, we're always striving to get better every week. If anybody owns a company that wants to sponsor us, that would be ideal.
Yeah, if anyone wants to get involved and come on the show or write for the website or do anything really.
And
I
if
think
anyone
just
knows of a studio space,
Be
Anywhere.
perfect for us. We're
Yeah.
looking for that as well. But again,
Mhm.
Gordon's right. We've got a website. We try to utilise it as much as we can. But if there's anybody that's out there who wants to maybe try their hand at a wee bit of writing articles or anything, or history, let us know. Now, before I forget, we've also got the Spotify back up and running now.
brilliant.
Gordon, do you want to quickly talk about that?
Mhm.
Yep, so a good friend of the show, David Herd, who's done a lot of stuff with Rangers in the last year or two. We've done some whole Spotify series, so we don't like it at the moment, but as I say, we'll advertise that, don't worry. If you go on Spotify, just type in the Gers TV, it will show our series and our channel on there, and it's absolutely fantastic. Some of the shows
Aye, Bobby,
that-
aye.
So some of the shows that David's done with us has been absolutely fantastic. There's all the stories about the League Cup wins. There's the stories about all the famous winners we've had, the top strikers for 1872 to 1945.
The Iron Curtain.
The Iron Curtain season as well. Absolutely fantastic. And we've also done a series about the goalkeepers after the sad pass to Van de Gordon last season as well. So I think there's about 10 episodes on there. We will do more as we progress the season. But please give us your support, give us a rating as well. So on Spotify, just go on Spotify and type in the Gers TV. All the shows are about 30-35 minutes. So listen, half off it on the way into work, half it on the way back.
Perfect. Also, you might have seen the wee video that featured at the start of the show there. That was a wee project I'd been working on for a bit. Well, it was really for the 150th anniversary of the club, but unfortunately Rangers weren't keen on giving us access to the stadium to make it the half-hour video that we'd promised, so we had to cut it down to a wee bit shorter. But thanks to everybody that worked on that. All the credits are on the YouTube page, and if you can get the YouTube page if you like as well, that would be fantastic.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, so as the season progresses, we'll start to use the website a lot more with articles. We've got some fantastic merchandise that will be getting modelled soon. We need to find somebody to model it with.
I was thinking of you.
Lewis. Well, I'm a very sought after model.
Considering their
so
men's sizes.
Gordon's been managed to show his bonnet off for a wee while.
I'll get a nice thick bonnet.
Aye,
So
for the winter.
this is
So
a world exclusive for the Gers TV. Just before we finish the show, this is part of our new merchandise. So hopefully you can see it in the camera, but it's an absolutely fantastic Gers TV.
It'll go really well with the third kit.
Absolutely, if you've got the third kit, this is the gold embossed Gers TV. Thick, keeps you warm. It's in the Scottish summertime and wintertime. Absolutely fantastic.
You can check it out. It's on my page.
It will be on our website and Facebook pages this week. Beautiful gold embossed Gers TV, orange stick, beanie hat. Absolutely fantastic. So these are all the things that are happening this season as well.
We
So
will have a lot happening.
Before we finish,
messed up my hair now. Hope you're proud of yourselves.
before we finish, we're almost, I think we're a couple of hundred away from hitting 47,000 followers
It's
on
amazing.
Facebook. So thanks to everybody that's got involved with that. It'd probably be a lot more than that, but Sally fans try to join. I'm just spanning them all the time, constantly. But 47,000, it's people from all over the world. So anybody that's done the like, the follow, or anything for us in the past, thank you very much. And if
so,
you've got ideas, let us know. Any ideas in the future, let us know that you want to work with.
so Bobby Patterson, hopefully get in touch with you soon regarding that. Fantastic. We've some great stuff happening this season. It's great to be back. Good luck to Rangers tomorrow night. And I think we'll finish the show as usual by saying, always remember,
We are
We are a people.